morning, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you're doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing fine. Hope everything is blessed. It's Friday morning, guys. It's Friday again. Lovely, great, fantastic. It makes you feel young again, doesn't it, guys? Before I start, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video, all that jazz. That'd be absolutely fantastic if you guys could do that for me. Thank you so much. Before you do anything, just smash that like. It helps the video and stuff, go to other places and all that. Everything on in between. Now, away from all the shenanigans that happened yesterday, of course, the comments from Jim Ratcliffe and all these political things, we might as well be the Parliament channel, Parliament FC. That's what Man United are at the moment. We're always dealing with things. Like I said it a long time ago. When you're going to be a Man United fan, you have to be a politician, a psychiatrist. What else do you have to be? A bloody financial expert, lawyer. What else do you need to be when you're Man United supporting this football club? It is mad sometimes, isn't it, at the end of the day, guys? And I would say that it's been an absolute crazy week. Another crazy week in the realms of Manchester United. No surprise there. Do we ever get a little bit of peace? We never do, guys. But let me just bring in a little bit of news in regards to Manchester United and what's going on the pitch. Because I feel like that's the most important thing, of course, what's going on the pitch. Because everything outside the pitch has nothing to do with Manchester United Football Club. That's what it's all about, guys. It has nothing to do with that. Now, Manchester United are searching for a potential new manager to manage Manchester United next season. Of course, this all depends on Michael Carrick, whether Michael Carrick gets into the Champions League or not, and whether he's done enough to impress the hierarchy in regards to the staying as Manchester United manager next season. Now, Man United have already got the preparations in place in regards to the new manager, and there are a number of candidates that are involved in this process. Now, Manchester United will go through the official process of interviewing managers, not just employing the manager. They will interview them and check out their credentials before they end up ultimately hiring the new manager. Now, in my opinion, in my humblest of opinion, I do believe that Man United are going to employ Carrick if he gets in the Champions League. I just believe that. I can't see how they're not going to employ Michael Carrick if he doesn't get in the Champions League. I think that's going to be a given. I think that'll be at 100%. He will be Man United manager next season if he gets in the Champions League. However, Man United are looking at other managers and potential candidates should things go wrong. Now, one of those candidates, obviously, is De Zerbi. Now, of course, De Zerbi has been linked to Man United before after Erik ten Hag got sacked. Roberto De Zerbi was linked to Manchester United. He's managed in various leagues as De Zerbi. He's won the 2021 Ukrainian Super Cup. He led Brighton to their highest ever league finish and European qualification. He transformed Sassuolo into a consistent Serie A top side, guys. So look, he's done a bit of things. He's not completely not experienced in regards to elevating and building things, in regards to building teams and not only building teams, but building teams that are not really teams that you would class as challengers or top of the half table teams like Brighton, like Sassuolo, of course. He won the Coppa Italia C in 2015 with Foggia. Of course, Foggia are a famous club, haven't been quite that team over the years, of course, been relegated numerous amounts of times. Obviously, the biggest achievement he has probably won is probably the Shakhtar Donetsk in Ukraine, winning the Ukrainian Super Cup, guys. And best team in Ukraine, though, isn't it? That's best team in Ukraine, you have to say, along with Dynamo Kiev. And, that's, I would say, the Dnipro, maybe. But Shakhtar Donetsk are the top team in Ukraine. He's known for playing a 4-2-3-1, a bit like what Michael Carrick's playing at the moment. He can play a 4-2-4. He has been known to do that. He has been known to play wingers as well. He likes a high-risk game, a high-risk build-up. He likes intense play, and he likes players to exert themselves in an attacking front and take risks in games, pressing and controlling games. This is basically what De Zerbi is. He's an attacking manager, a manager that has style and a philosophy, what I would say. And it wouldn't be the worst option in the world. But for me, it's not the best option. It's not the best option. The best option for me is obviously Luis Enrique, who is a better manager. No one can say anything. He is a better manager than De Zerbi. De Zerbi left Marseille. He came second place with Marseille, you know, in the 24-25 season. It's the best finish for Marseille in 25 years. It's a good achievement. You know, he has a 57% win record there. But he's inconsistent form this season, and his lack of success in European football has obviously put paid to his position at Marseille. Now, obviously, the key to a great manager as well is not just what you do in isolated seasons. It's what you do on a consistent basis. You can come second with Marseille. Okay, right. You've done well that season. But what's going on this season? Are you going to carry on? Are you going to stay consistent? Now, obviously, there is lots of ins and outs in regards to that. You know, there is context in regards to that. You know, the squad, for example, the players that you bring in, for example, you know, and that's what I would say. But he left with 39 wins in 69 games with Marseille. The highest for Olympique Marseille in the last 25 years, guys. It's not just position, it's the amount of games that he won. He has a high-octane attack, implementing a dominant attacking style with key performance, including a 6-2 win over Le Havre. He has a passionate connection, strongly connected with the fan base and the culture, even described as an ultra manager. So basically, like, if De Zerbi came into Manchester United, he would act as like an ultra to Old Trafford. You know what I mean? I mean, we're so far away from ultras. It's unbelievable at the moment, but that's another conversation for another time, of course, guys. Absolutely. The key challenges and the reason behind his departure, despite a strong start this season, the team suffered inconsistent form, right? He experienced disappointing results in the Champions League, including the 3-0 loss to Liverpool and Club Brugge. And obviously resulting in an exit from the Champions League. Following, he got thrashed 5-0 by PSG, falling to fourth in the league. He left with mutual consent this month. De Zerbi's time at Marseille was marked by black or white results, blending high-scoring, exciting football with inconsistent, sometimes disastrous defensive performance. So ultimately, the key is here in regards to De Zerbi. When you're talking about De Zerbi, you're talking about inconsistent. That's what it is. Inconsistent. He's inconsistent. He's not consistent. And what Man United need stability. Man United need consistency. This is what Man United need ultimately. Now, of course, it's easy for me to come out here and say, no, but we need Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique's the guy. Luis Enrique should be managing Manchester United and blah, blah, blah. But it's up to Luis Enrique at the end of May. Ultimately, it's up to Luis Enrique if he wants to manage Manchester United. It's not just up to Manchester United if they want Luis Enrique. Word circulating is that Luis Enrique does not want the job at Manchester United, but I would take that with a big dose of pinch of salt, guys. I would, because at the end of the day, he hasn't come out and said anything, and you never know what can happen at the end of the season. I still believe Manchester United in the Champions League represents a very attractive option for any suitors that come into Manchester United, in my opinion. And the thing about Luis Enrique, of course, the biggest problem is obviously Jason Wilcox, is obviously Vavel, and obviously Barada. I don't think Luis Enrique will want an amateur like Jason Wilcox in his ear. Now, there is rumours going on that Jason Wilcox could be sacked as Manchester United scout, director for whatever he is, mouth man, whatever he is. He could be sacked at Manchester United by the end of the season. Now, I believe that when I see that. That would be great if he's sacked, you know? But I want Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique is the best option for Manchester United. That is the best option. There is no one who is better than Luis Enrique right now. Everyone, when you mention Luis Enrique, whoever the fans are, they look at Luis Enrique and they think, yeah, that's the guy. Luis Enrique is the guy. You know what I mean? And they go, if you get Luis Enrique, Man United will be back. But that's not shutting the door on Michael Carrick. If Michael Carrick gets into the top 4, top 5 this season, and we look at it and we evaluate his half season, or so to speak, at the end of the season, and we're all in agreement that he's done very well, there is no reason why we shouldn't keep Michael Carrick. Because obviously, we always get excited by the flashy manager, the foreign manager and stuff like that. How do we know Michael Carrick won't be that guy? We don't know that, you know? We do look at things, obviously, like past, you know, in regards to his time at Middlesbrough, etc. But you can't really judge a manager like that. Luis Enrique was at Lazio. Yeah. And what did he do at Lazio? You know, you could always bring in these kind of things into the fore. But what we can say is that what Luis Enrique has achieved, he's won the Champions League with PSG for the first time in their history. And I think we have to look at that as well. You have to look at that and say, well, he's known for winning. And as we know, with a lot of this squad, we need someone who's going to come in and demand the respect. We need someone to come in and demand the respect. These players, as they proved against West Ham, at any given moment, won't perform. You know, we know that what they can do. We know they can beat the Arsenals. We know they can beat the Liverpools. We know they can beat the Chelseas. We know that they can beat the Newcastles and Manchester Cities and teams like that. We know that. We've done that before. We've done that under Ten Hag. We've done that under Ruben Amorim. We've done that under Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We've done that before. It's the smaller games that we have problems with. And what the red flags were and the alarm bells were for me was the West Ham game. There was alarm bells because we had one shot in 80 minutes. Now, if we drew 1-1 and we pelted their goal, and we should have won the game, then I would have been in a different way of thinking. I would have been in a different opinion to everything. But, you know, we didn't. We had one shot from Sesko after 80 minutes. And that's when we started to kick off and started to get a few chances in because we got a number of crosses into the box, etc., etc., etc. But, yeah, there you go. Big up everyone in the stream. I hope you're doing well. Welcome all the legends in the house, guys. I hope you're all doing blessed. Hope everyone is good, guys. I hope you're all doing good this Friday morning. You absolute legends, of course. Now, one more bit of news I'm going to bring to you, of course, is a little bit of transfer news coming out of Man United, of course. We've got links to Iliman Ndiaye. Iliman Ndiaye, of course, is a left winger who plays for Everton at the moment. There are reports around circulating that Manchester United are leading position to sign Iliman Ndiaye in the summer. Sources closer to the player suggest that Ndiaye would be interested in a move to Manchester United. The former Sheffield United player considers Manchester United as a top team and a very attractive proposition. Now, of course, I watched Ndiaye. I watched Ndiaye during the AFCON. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I think he's a very good player. But again, Man United do need a left winger, and obviously, if we sign Ndiaye, it will be a good signing for Manchester United. He is a good player, 25 years old. Is that age, that borderline age sort of thing, that, you know what, he will come into the club and maybe do a good job for Manchester United. I do feel, however, in my humblest opinions, I do feel that Man United need the midfield sorted, don't they? And we need to get that midfield sorted. Let's solidify that midfield. Let's fix that midfield, and then we can move on to the attacking bits that we need. Because we know that Cunha can play there. We know that Dorgu can play there as well. So, you know, and Shea Lacey coming into the four as well. So we got to look at things that what we need as a priority. Man United need about 3 or 4 midfielders, guys. Considering who's leaving, Man United need 3 or 4 midfielders. Now, as Ineos have proven, they're not very quick. They're full of excuses. They don't like spending money. It's pretty evident. And they spend the money that Man United make, and they're not going to make any more money and spend a lot of money this summer, even though Man United need about 8-9 players. Man United will spend about 200 million, but that won't be net. We're going to be losing Casemiro. We're going to be losing Mason Mount probably. We're going to be losing Harry Maguire. We're going to be losing, obviously, Anthony, Sancho, Rashford, Rasmus. They're players that we're going to be leaving. All those wages that we're going to be saving, not to mention the Varane and the Lindelof a year before that we saved money on as well in regards to the wages and stuff like that. We're going to be losing all those players, and all those wages are going to come off the books. But don't be surprised if Man United don't use that money to bring in a lot of players, which we actually need. We do need actually a 500 million plus rebuild at this football club. I doubt that they're going to do that, though, which is disappointing. Iliman Ndiaye has been linked to Man United. However, the biggest key stumbling block in regards to this deal is his big transfer fee. It's 50 to 80 million euros, guys. 50 to 80. So anything from 50 to 80 million is the price for Iliman Ndiaye, of course, guys. Another player linked to Manchester United is Alexander Stankovic, who I spoke about a while ago. The defensive midfielder, 20 years old, who I'm a big fan of this guy, is linked to Man United again. Guys, Manchester United, Arsenal, and Chelsea are got to jump leaps and bounds this season, especially in the Champions League with Club Brugge. According to reports around Europe and around the Middle East, the Premier League, Manchester United have been tracking 20-year-old Alexander Stankovic and look to sign him in the summer. 20 years old, CDM. Now, don't be surprised if Man United look at these type of players next summer, because obviously they're going to be cheaper. They're going to be cheaper. Now, my opinion about this is that Man United can sign the likes of Alexander Stankovic. That's great. But again, I reiterate, we need to sign the Andersons as well, the Whartons as well. We need to get those in as well. We need someone who can come into this football club and press play, out you go, and there you go. He fits in like a glove to a hand, you know, and it's already there, ready to go. Players like Alexander Stankovic are not necessarily ready to go, you know, and that's what we talk about. We need players fit and ready to just walk into that team, and you don't even need to tell them anything. And there you go, guys. And that's what I would say about that. Absolutely. Big up everyone in the stream. I hope you're doing well. Big up All Bars One. Big up Sal. Watched you on Hassam's channel yesterday. You rep United well and speak facts. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in as well, my friend. Big up yourself. Hope you're well. Ephraim. Good morning, Ephraim. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're blessed, of course. Morning, Sal, my guy. Big up, Marcus. How you doing? Saw your post of Terry Christian slamming Ratcliffe. It's lengthy, but a good watch. Well done, man. Thank you so much, Marcus. He's a little bit obsessed about Ruben Amorim, but the rest of it was fine. I think he's a little bit wrong on Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim is not a useless manager. He needed to back in, and that's the only thing I disagree with that. But other than that, I've had Terry Christian on my channel, Marcus. He's been on my channel. If you look at the interview that I did with him, it was brilliant. We spoke about Man United of old and stuff like that. And it was a good chat. And he's a good friend of mine. And he's been around the block. He lives around the corner from Old Trafford. He's been watching Man United since the 60s. So I like to hear his opinion. And obviously he has very strong opinions. He's been a host. He's been a presenter. And he's, you know what, he's a successful person. And he's not one of those people that just speak like minions, like the minions speak. He does obviously have a political side to him, which I respect at the end of the day. And he doesn't just go with the norm, you know, at the end. And I'm glad he's called out Jim Ratcliffe. I'm glad he's called out the Ineos. And I'm glad that what he said, because it's very hard to come out of your platform and say things like that, especially politically. You know, look, guys, the most important thing that I take from the last 24 hours is that I've learned in my life, those people who have suffered adversity, those people who have suffered discrimination in their life, they seem to know what people are. You could read people, and I could read Jim. I know what he is. You know, you don't need to tell me. People haven't suffered that, don't really understand what that is, what we're talking about. I can't say it on here, but it starts with R, right? And the thing is, right, when you suffered that, right, you sort of know who is and who isn't. And I would say that Terry Christian said some very, very true things. He didn't say a lot of it wasn't true, but a lot of it was true. So respect to him. Good morning, Vino. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Enrique would be a dream, but don't have a Dembele or Kvara to play that. We have more inside forwards than pure wingers. Need a lot of investment. It's true, Vino. We do need a lot of investment. If a man like Luis Enrique comes into the football club, he's going to need 8 players at least. And what I would say is that that is what it should be, though, isn't it? Because I don't want Michael Carrick getting a job and not being backed, and Michael Carrick being, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. Because part of the attraction of hiring Michael Carrick, part of that attraction might be, oh, Michael Carrick doesn't ask for much money. Michael Carrick is easy. Michael Carrick doesn't answer back. Michael Carrick just puts his head down and gets on with it. I don't want that. I do think we need someone who's outspoken. I do think we need someone who's a disciplinarian. I do think we need a manager, not a coach, right? And if he's a coach, then he has no power. And that goes with any other manager out there. If they labeled as a coach, sorry, I'm going to brush my mic. If they are labeled as a coach, they're not going to have any say. They're not going to have any say in regards to transfers and this and that and that. And ultimately, when a person like Wilcox, who's a narcissist anyway, has power, eventually he's going to start going into Luis Enrique's ear and start talking about, oh, maybe you should play a 4-2-3-1, or maybe you should play a 4-3-3. You know what I mean? He might start doing that. And I don't think Luis Enrique, Champions League winner, by the way, is going to appreciate that. I really don't think that. So, and this is exactly what happened with, obviously, Ruben Amorim, of course. So, and Erik ten Hag, ultimately. So, we need a manager, but the manager needs to come in, and he needs to have the power and the tools to do the job properly, because he's not a miracle maker, Absolutely. He's a manager, exactly. Yes, he is a manager, and he has to manage. And if we don't have a manager, we're not going to be successful, especially run by bloody Wilcox and Jim and all those clowns. Morning, Mandem. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're well. Good to see you. I saw that shortlist yesterday, and it clearly shows Glenius are looking for a yes man. If they were serious about this club, they should go all out for Enrique. They could attract Luis Enrique, you know. They could get him, you know. I don't think this is an impossible deal to do. The fact is, you're absolutely right, Mandem. They do want someone that they can bring in and they could, like a puppet on a string, they can just make them do whatever they say, they'll do it like a puppet on a string. And they're the puppet masters. Do you know what I mean? And that's what they are, the puppet masters. And they want to dictate everything. Then just don't bring in a manager. Just don't bring him in then. Just don't. You manage the club, Wilcox. Go on then, Barada. You manage it. You think you could do better. You go and do it then. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, go and win us a bloody title. Now, if Man United do qualify for the Champions League, this will be in spite of Ineos and the Glazers and Jim Ratcliffe. It will be because of Carrick. It will be because of Ruben Amorim. It won't be because of those guys there, right? Because all they've done is destabilize Man United. Now, what's going to happen in the press conference with Michael Carrick? Immigration, politics. This is unfair on Michael Carrick. Immigration, politics. That's all he's going to be answering about in the next couple of weeks, guys. What do you think of your Jim Ratcliffe? I mean, I don't understand why you would do something as stupid as that at the end of the day. As I said, and I say it many times, everyone can have their opinion about life. I know England very well. Immigration is not the problem in England. Let me tell you that right now. That is not the main problem in England. You know, all right? We have one of the lowest birth rates there is. At the end of the day, guys, you can have your political opinion, I have mine, and we put that to one side. But again, this has nothing to do with Man United, and all this serves to do is destabilize Man United, divide Man United, the fans in particular, and upset people, because it does upset people, and it has upset people, and then come out with a "I'm sorry, not sorry" sort of thing, you know, which he wasn't sorry. He wasn't. That was not an apology. I'm sorry that my comments hurt some people. However, I'm not being funny, but I'm not being racist, but that's basically what it is for me, you know? And he needs to resign. He needs to leave the football club. I mean, Man United players are seen very unhappy about it. You know, and what has it done? It's just going to destabilize us when we're in a good way. We're in a good way right now. We're in a good moment right now. And all it's doing is destabilize, because every single thing that comes out of their mouth that they do creates toxicity, creates negativity. They are a negative ownership. A negative ownership. Qatar, Middle East would have been a positive ownership. You could throw your virtual signaling, racism, all you want at me. At the end of the day, they were a positive thing. That's why everyone's flocking over to Qatar. Everyone's flocking over to the UAE to work here. Because it's better, you know. And you can give all those lies about human rights and this and that. They know nothing. They're just uneducated fools. And you know what I would say is that Man United, if Man United truly are serious, they will go out and get Luis Enrique. That's what they would do. They will go out and get Luis Enrique if they're serious, but they're not. So. Absolutely. Mandem, when Champions League is confirmed, they should immediately start to get deals done for the likes of Ndai. They should have done it already, mate. Tonali and Anderson this summer will rely on. They should, like, what you can do, Mandem, is that you can come out and you can give a gentleman's agreement to a player and give them an ultimatum saying that if we qualify for the Champions League, we want you. Are you up for it? You know what I mean? And get kind of an agreement going on there. They can do this. It's what they've done with Baleba at the end of October. They met up with Baleba's representatives and his family and said, you still want to come to Man United? We still want you, blah, blah, blah. However, that's eased a little bit considering Baleba is not performing well. And that's just a fact, right? And he substituted the other night against Aston Villa after 20 minutes and stuff like that. So we have to obviously be careful about that. But yeah, they could have got something, you know, in regards to a little verbal agreement, maybe with his agent, maybe with his family, whatever it is, it would have made a difference. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. Muna, we do need midfielders, yes. Mocha, what's going on? Sell Ugarte to then buy 2 or 3 midfielders. Ugarte looks like he's going to be going, Makomi. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for Ugarte. Very worried when Ugarte comes onto the pitch, to be honest with you, because every time he comes onto the pitch, we sort of go like this. We go down. I saw Ugarte when he was at Sporting Lisbon, when he was at PSG, and he was a brilliant player. Sometimes what we have to understand, and it's nothing personal, what we have to understand is that sometimes things just don't work out, for players who come in. I remember Juan Sebastian Veron many years ago, world-class player world-class player, one of the best in the world, and didn't work at Man United. It's just sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the shirt weighs heavy. It does. And, you have to say, well, it didn't work this one. We move on from Ugarte. And I think hopefully we get some buys for him as well. Van der Ven, for Maguire as well, will be nice. It would be lovely if Maguire leaves, of course. Black Sheep, you legend. Thank you so much for your super chat. My absolute legend, mate. Thank you so much, my friend. Sal, fans now should unite against the scumbags out. They're going to lose, mate. They're going to lose. This thing here, what has gone on is, what I'm hearing is that the Man United fans, Man United players in particular, are not happy with what Jim said, right? The big dogs, forget about the uneducated people who live in a barn somewhere. The big dogs are against that. Even the Man United admin had to write an apology, even though it's against their boss. You see how it is. It's like, you notice the reluctance for them to write it because they could be in trouble if they writ that, and none of us wanted this. We didn't want them. We never wanted them in the first place. As I said before, I'm not one of those guys who goes, I told you so, hold that. But I did do a campaign against them. I did do a campaign against the Glazers and Jim Ratcliffe. I did. I went to Qatar, had an interview in Qatar. I was on Qatar social media. I was on Qatar television. I done a lot of work. Right? And obviously, my biggest fear is coming to the fore now. It's coming to the fore. Now, in regards to his political belief, whether I believe in this or I believe in that, all it does, whether you believe in it or not, but the ultimate key is here. This opens the door for the wrong type of people to be involved with Manchester United. Now, who's involved with Man United now? Nigel Farage, Tommy Robinson. All these people are backing him. Like little rats, right? Little vultures. We don't want them at this football club. We don't want our club, our great name of Manchester United, being released from their dirty mouths. We don't want that. But Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson, who openly, you know what they are, right? Oh, look at Jim, look at Jim, look at Jim. This is what it does. Whether I believe in your political stance or not, it's nothing to do with a political stance. This has nothing to do with politics. Because otherwise, he wouldn't have walked into Manchester United on the very first day and said, I want to put the Manchester back in Manchester United. Because what does that mean? Automatically, you are isolating people. You are shutting the door on people who are not from Manchester. What you meant on all the nooks and crannies or what you meant or not is irrelevant. Because what that makes you feel like as a guy from London, mate, right? I felt like, well, I'm not from Manchester, so does that close the door on me as well? I feel a little bit awkward now going to Man United, putting the Manchester back in Manchester. I feel a little bit awkward about that. The guy is what he is. I'm not going to say the word on here, but he is what he is. And I know it because, you know what? I was raised in the East End of London, mate. I know what these guys are. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And you can't sugarcoat it anyway. You can't put glitter on a turd and call it a bloody Christmas decoration. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Big up Black Sheep, you absolute legend. Thank you so much for your super chat. You're an absolute diamond, my friend. Thank you. Send De Zerbi to Spurs. We can do a lot better. I agree with Dabizes there, kind of, United need to sign more wingers and midfielders. Agree with Samuel. Big up Samuel. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Ephraim Sal, I do not think De Zerbi is ready for a big job. I kind of agree with Ephraim here. I do. Enrique is the best. If not him, then Ancelotti and Nagelsmann if they don't want Carrick. You know what it has to be, Dabizaz. I said it over the last couple of weeks. I said, if it's not a special manager, just keep Carrick. I said it already. If it's not a special manager, just bloody keep Carrick. Keep Carrick there, and that's what we do, Ephraim, Sal, it is amazing there are fans who support Ratcliffe in his comments. It's shame on them because they are what they are, mate. They outed themselves as what they are. Hello, Sal. Big up, Kevin. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, man. Aaron Ramsdale always play as good against us, bro. Because Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a fraud. Just like West Ham. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a bloody fraud. Get your hair cut and put it on social media in a relegation battle, mate. That's it. Because at the end of the day, you said it there, Kevin. Every single time he plays against Manchester United, he has a worldie. He has a worldie, you know? Daryl. Sorry, big up Daryl, by the way. How you doing, man? Don't want to Zerbi or Carrick. We need Enrique. Nothing else, to be honest. We haven't a good enough board. They're not serious to help Man United sick to death with them. Get the F out. Daryl, I feel you, mate. I feel you. I know that Luis Enrique is the best manager in the world at the moment. He's the standout candidate. He's the one I want. Anyone who wants less than that doesn't really know ball. Because at the end of the day, I respect your opinion, but Luis Enrique is that guy. Everything about Luis Enrique, personality, tactics, you know. He didn't go to PSG and buy a bunch of Galacticos. He built a team. And that's what we're talking about here, you know, and he won them a Champions League, plays good football. And that performance in the Champions League final was absolutely incredible as well, you know. He would be my choice as well, Darryl. I agree with Darryl wholeheartedly, you know, absolutely. Sal, did I not think Ineos ownership will be worse than the Glazers? They are competing for worse. Oh, they are worse at the moment because at least the Glazers put their head down and shut up. That's all they did and just disappeared into the abyss. However, they are the biggest problem at Manchester United. But Jim Ratcliffe has exposed himself as not the answer. And we knew he wasn't the answer at the beginning. We knew, many of us saw that. Many of us called it out. But obviously, the people with sinister motives wanted Jim Ratcliffe in the club, even though he lied to them, you know, and manipulated them. And he's manipulating them again, by the way. In regards to the political side of things, he's manipulating them again, and people are so stupid they're falling for it. Ridiculous, so dumb. Honest to God. AK Glaze out in your cell, absolutely. Hope you're well. Red Terry, what's going on, Red Terry? How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Red Terry 2882, my guy. What's going on? Ratcliffe coming out and saying what he has said screams to me that something's gone wrong with the regeneration project, and Jim's throwing his toys out because he's pissed off that people he needs on side. Well, I read, Terry, it's funny you should say that because I read one of the representatives of the regeneration project. I read it on Twitter yesterday. That he was not happy with the comments from Jim Ratcliffe. I actually think that you have a good point here, Terry. I think that there is something going on. And guys, don't forget, Stretford Post told you that a few weeks ago, right? That there is problems with the regeneration project. I've been hearing that there is problems with the regeneration project. I've been hearing that for weeks, right? Now, maybe he is throwing his rattles out of his pram, you know? Maybe they're selling the land to immigrants. I don't know. Maybe they're doing that. That's why it's upset him so much. I don't know. Maybe he's doing something like that. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. You know? So look, you know, I agree. I think that there is something going on and he's failing. He's, again, what I would say is that part of me feels, and I said it yesterday, that he is trying to get a certain section of people on side, politically motivated people on side, because he knows that he's losing Manchester United. He's losing everyone at Man United, the players, the fans, the board, the club in general. He's losing it and he's failing. And that ultimately, I didn't come on here and say that I want Jim Ratcliffe to fail, because when he came to Man United, I said, okay, it's what we have is what we have. Let's see what he can do. But unfortunately, I was going to judge them factually and what they do with actions. Now, some decent things, many worse things, bad things has been happening at this football club since they've been here. Worse than the Glazers in a short space of time, you know? And I've just feel that now, right now, Jim, I will tell you this right now, mate, my old buddy, my old pal, resign from Manchester United. You're not wanted at Manchester United. 90% of the fans who are not sinister motivated don't want you. You know, and at the end of the day, that's fact. And you pack up and leave, mate. Enjoy the rest of your years, my bro. That's what you go. You got money. What do you want from Man United? You come to Man United, you're penny pinching. Anyone would think that a bloody 77-year-old who's got billions in the bank will come into Man United and put all his money into Man United. But no, you're penny pinching. You're not 19, bruv. You're 77. And you come into this football club and you're penny pinching. If I was a 77-year-old and Mank, born and bred, Man United fan all my life, you know what I would do? Look after my friends and family. Of course I would do. But all my money, I'll say, put it on Man United. Let's go and win the league. Let's get Man United back to where we deserve to be. Top of the tree in the league, top of the tree in the Champions League. That's what I would be doing. That's what I would be doing first thing. Who do we need? Manager. What players do we need? Who do we need? What's weak in our team at the moment? Midfield. Okay, who's the best midfielders out there? And that's what I would do. He is a prat. Big up, my friend Bobby. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Sal, do you think Jim Ratcliffe comments were somewhat calculated as a way out? No, because he can sell anytime. It's not like a player who wants to leave the football club or a manager who wants to leave the football club who, when they get sacked, they get paid off a big bunch of money because he's not going to get, if he gets sacked, he's not going to get paid off a big bunch of money. He can, at the end of the day, what he can do, he can resign anytime and sell his shares. That's what he could do. There would be no shortage of buyers. Of course not. You know, I don't necessarily think this is a way out. I just think he's just an idiot. That's it. And he spoke a lot of stupidness. You know, and he shouldn't have done that. And he's affected the football team, you know. Otherwise, he would resign now. He should resign. The audacity of those whining about UAE Qatar morals are hypocritical, as if England, France, Spain didn't colonize 3/4 of the planet. These gatekeepers don't want any new money coming into the boys' club. Frauds. Now, look, let me give you an example, Marcus, right? I live in the UAE. I've lived in the UAE for 4 years. I work here, okay? I have a football team here. I do work all around. My life is football, right? So what I would say is that we get a lot of people, and I do see it on a lot of the mainstream media, the Daily Mail, Sun, Daily Mirror in England, who are trying to slander Dubai and are trying to slander UAE because people are leaving the UK. Taxpayers are leaving the UAE, including you leaving England, sorry. I leave in England. Taxpayers are leaving England, including myself, by the way. I used to pay £1,000 a month in tax, by the way, and they can't even clean my bins, right? So £1,000, right? I was paying a month. So a lot of people are leaving England, right, and coming to the UAE and coming to Qatar and Oman and Bahrain and and these countries and making a new life for themselves. And every single person, expats, whether they're from Ireland, whether they're from England, Scotland, Italy, France, are coming here and saying, I love it here. Now, what those newspapers, those outlets are trying to do is trying to pay people, right? And I know this factually, right? To say that it's horrible in Dubai. It's horrible in Abu Dhabi. It's horrible in Bahrain. It's horrible in Qatar. It's horrible here. That's what they're trying to do, to manipulate people not to leave the country. And this is exactly what they're doing at the moment. When they talk about Qatar and owning Man United, virtual signaling. We don't want any of our people leaving the country. We're going to have no taxpayers. No one's going to be able to do the jobs. Yet the hypocrisy of people like Jim Ratcliffe, who are employing people on 0-hour contracts. And guys, I've been on a 0-hour contract, right? In my life, that is a contract where you work and you get paid, a rolling contract, so to speak. You work and get paid. You do not get paid sick leave. You do not get paid any of that. If you have a sickness, you ring in sick, you do not get paid. You do not get benefits. You do not get time and a half. That is what a zero contract is. And this is what Jim Ratcliffe is doing. He's employing Asians, Africans, everyone from around the world to replace the people that he sacked at Old Trafford to give them 0-hour contracts. And what's happening at Man United? Performances are declining because of this, because they're not skilled workers. They haven't been there for 30 years and they don't have the motivation to work on a 0-hour contract. This is what people need to understand. They don't understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to turn Manchester United, all the jobs, including the cooks, the chefs, the security guards, the people on low money anyway, right? He's trying to make them 0-hour contracts. He's made them into 0-hour contracts. Now, a couple of my people worked at Old Trafford, and I know a couple of people that have been sacked at Old Trafford as well. I know them. Part of the perks of working at Manchester United was that you used to get free tickets. You used to get a little bit of, you didn't get the best money in the world. Don't get me twisted. You didn't get the best money in the world, even if you were employed by Manchester United. But the key was you were employed by Manchester United. That was the incentive. And also, you would get your perks. You would get your free tickets and stuff like that every so often. They've taken that away now. And they just employed any Tom, Dick and Harry on the Mighty or Securitas or whatever security company it is, right? And put them on 0-hour contracts. Right? And took away all those incentives, all those perks, all that. And that's what they're doing at Old Trafford. And this is just a small example of what I'm talking about. What they've done all around the football club at the moment. Now, it's no surprise, no shit, Sherlock, that Man United's morale, Man United's feeling at the moment is one of negativity. And then when you got this Scrooge in charge of Manchester United, right, partly, but acting like he is in charge because he is basically, because he's a puppet on the string to the Glazers, because he does everything the Glazers say, how does that make the rest of the football club feel? Now, all these feelings, you know Jim Ratcliffe is the kind of person that he does? You know what he does? He kisses the arse of the players and the rich people. He doesn't with the poor people. He don't like poor people, right? And that's a fact about him. He don't like vulnerable people. This is why he's attacking the vulnerable, right? This is what he's doing, right? And this needs to be called out. And it will always be called out with me. We need to protest more every single game. Cancel a few matches, empty the stadium, boycott all the merchandise until the Glazers and Ineos are gone. Absolutely. Absolutely. De Zerbi needs Spurs. When he blows up, it will be comedy gold. When he blows up at Spurs, what's he going to blow up for? What's Spurs going to blow up into what? Into what is Spurs going to blow up into? Please tell me. A cracker? Marcus, what we need to stability, not the intentional chaos Ineos creates on regular basis. Absolutely. Good morning, Sanjay. How you doing, guys? Let's get to 50 likes, guys. It's very important we get to the team 50 likes, guys, if we could do that. Absolutely. No top manager would want to work for Jim. I agree. He wants a yes man. Metal, big up Metal. How you doing, my friend? Sal, do you think this opportunity to remove Ineos? Yeah, I think it's an opportunity for everyone to get together. And now they've and say that we don't want this at this football club. The great thing about it now is that the government is on board. The Prime Minister, whatever you think about the Prime Minister is on board, right? And they need to stop this regeneration project, which is their bread and butter. This is what they're looking at the moment. Once they stop that regeneration project, the Glazers are going to feel the strain because that's what they're looking for. They looked for that in 2017 when they sent a letter out to the Manchester government in regards to acquiring this land. Of course, they want it to be paid by the government. Ironic, isn't it, at the end of the day? But if the regeneration project is cancelled, there's no reason for them to be here and they have to sell up. I think they should sell up anyway. I think just like Abramovich, they should be forced to sell. And Abramovich did good for English football, by the way, because he built Chelsea, right? They have done nothing for the biggest team in England, if not the world, right? They're actually doing a very, very bad job, at the end of the day. And they need to... One thing Jim Ratcliffe needs to do now, after the government, after the mayor of Manchester has said that he needs to leave. He needs to resign. That's what he needs to do. Go. No matter what you meant, what context you meant, it has nothing to do with Manchester United. You can't even run Manchester United, let alone talk about the complexities of political beliefs. You don't even know how to run a bloody football club, mate. Right? So why are you talking about that? You haven't even spoken to the Man United fans about Ruben Amorim. You haven't spoken to the Man United fans about Michael Carrick. You haven't spoken to Man United fans about reassuring them in what they want in the future. You haven't spoken to Man United fans about the protest. All you've said is, well, I'm not very popular at the moment because you have to make some unpopular decisions. You're making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, bruv. Mistake after... You spent 500 million on 3 managers, mate. You know what I mean? 2 managers. And what you done with it? Sacked them after a couple of months. Daryl. Radcliffe is scum. He don't even live here going on about bullshit. He don't pay tax himself. Joke to get out of the big straight sausage, take Glazers with you to France. Absolutely. I don't think France are going to want him after this. It too. What I would say is that he needs to resign. That's what he needs to do. He needs to resign as soon as possible. He needs to leave the football club. That is what he needs to do. The first thing he should do is hand in his resignation or resign to himself. I don't know. Big up, LT. How you doing? I'm content that the club sent a statement to separate themselves from Ratcliffe's words and this pathetic apology, which is not an apology, but more like a diplomat was saying what he said. He doubled down on what he said, and I don't agree with certain people who said that they respect him for doubling down on what he said because it exposes you for what you are if you say that, right? And some big content creators have said that. They respect him for doubling down. I don't respect him. I don't respect him for doubling down what he believes. I don't care what he believes. I don't give a damn what he believes in. I know what he is. That's why he said, I'm going to bet by Manchester back in Manchester. We know what he is. I don't respect the R word people. I don't respect people who never suffered the R word in their lives, talking about respecting someone who's doubling down on their opinion. I don't care about that. Because you've never suffered things or discrimination or things like that. And it's the thing, right? And this is what we're talking about. They do not understand what Manchester United means, who it was built by, who was elevated by, you know? That was not apology. What he's saying, let me give you an example to what he's saying. He says, I'm sorry I've hurt you, but you must not do that again. That's basically what he said to you. I'm sorry it hurts you, but I'm sorry, but you have to face the truth. That's what he's saying to these people. That's what he's saying. That is not an apology. You know, respect. No way, mate. Why should a taxpayer pay to build the stadium? Shite Jim and the Glazers should pay. Exactly. Hypocrites, mate. The biggest hypocrites you could possibly muster. The Glazers are Americans who have not put a penny into Manchester United, a penny into England, the UK, nothing, but they're taking. They're taking. You know, and they want the government to pay for it. You know? Morning, Sal. Wouldn't want Ndiaye not to be able to sign for positions we already have. Probably if they could focus on the cash, other critical areas. They should focus on everything, mate. We still need a left midfielder. Ndiaye is a left midfielder. We need him. Dorgu can't be the only one who's going to be playing there. But I agree we need midfielders before anything else, in my opinion. Jim know what he was saying. He knows what he's saying. And we know what he means too. We know what he means. Luis Enrique would be great. Michael Carrick get Champions League. Probably going to stay as manager. Probably Kevin. I agree. Smash the likes and subscribe. Big up Ephraim, legend. Bobby, big up Sal. I'm so sick to death of this club. I'm sick to death of that haircut guy. And I say, do you know that haircut guy, right, is a Glazer plant? You're not thought of that. Have people not thought about that? Have people not thought that that haircut guy is a Glazer plant? Have you ever seen him mention the Glazers or anything? Saviour, good morning, sir. Any coach the board will bring in, they need to support him by signing 8 quality players, sell those who have longer the club. Big up. Run up the lights, people. Thank you, Black Sheep, you legend. Thank you, mate. Really agree with that, my friend. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's get to 50 likes, if guys, we could do that. Really helps to the channel and stuff. Benny, good morning. Funny thing is, last time I was over at a game, about 95%, you were there this season, I remember you telling me, of the security staff were all immigrants, and they say, I bet, on minimum money. Laughable comment. They're on 0-hour contracts, mate. It's even worse. It's not even minimum. They haven't, basically what a 0-hour contract is that you're not employed by the club, you're employed by an external agency, right? And that external agency pays, so basically Man United will pay that external agency, and that external agency will take their cut and pay you what they want to pay you, right? But they won't pay you sick pay. They won't give you any benefits, for example, overtime benefit, bank holiday Monday, bank holiday benefit, Christmas benefit, New Year's Day benefit. They won't get it. That's what basically a 0-hour contract is. And this is what Man United are doing. They're filling the place up with 0-hour contractors. You know, like they do in the corporate world. If you go to a corporate building in London and you see the security, they will have a security like a Mighty security, like a Securitas security and things like that. They'll have something like that, and they are contractors. And that's what they're doing. Man United used to be Manchester United. That's what they used to be. Everyone worked for Manchester United. People worked for Man United for 30 years, 40 years, you know? And they've been removed. Sal, so Jim hypocrite when he wanted money from taxpayers to fund the stadium and when he's in Monaco. Exactly. Marcus, honestly, Sal, the Vanity project is going to put us in more debt. These billionaires are cruel. They build nothing. All they do is take. Starmer and Manchester the mayor are giving us lip service. I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're wrong as well, Marcus, but I think you're right. And to be honest with you, mate, I would say that more than ever, though, that this regeneration project is looking more and more precarious by the day. It's looking more and more doubtful because of the way. One thing governments do is and especially mayors and things like that of cities and that, they try to save face. So they might look at it and think, this is too much bad news. We can't do this. And I hope that they do think like that at the end of the day, you know. They're going to put us in more debt. But also, the key for me, Man United won't succeed at this stadium. They won't. Part of Man United's success is Old Trafford, the spiritual home of Old Trafford. But they wanted a new stadium because they can input their name all over the place, their sponsorship deals and naming rights to the stadium, you know, and hotels and franchises and things like that, and apartments and that. And they felt that they could make a lot of money from it. And this is why they're so desperate for it. Prince, the structure of Ineos and Glazer is the case of blind leading the blind. Exactly. Marcus, we are making Champions League, boys, so we need to load up on the players anyways. Every position United stand can go jump in the Thames. Well, one thing I'll say, Marcus, the women's Manchester United team won 5 in a row this week. So why don't he go and cut his hair? Because Manchester United is Manchester United at the end of the day, and leave us alone. You know? Ilman Ndiaye, Premier League proven. I think we should sign him. Look for good Senegal. We need as many players as we could possibly get. As I said, we need about 8 or 9 players. In the positions alone, we're losing obviously Rasmus, we're losing Sancho, we're losing Rashford. You know, in that position alone. So we do need cover. You nailed it, brother. The new stadium will not bring us the glory. Look at West Ham, Spurs, and Arsenal. Still waiting for trophies. Exactly. When was the last time Arsenal won a league? 2004. They have done nothing at that stadium. Tottenham won't do nothing at this stadium. It was more difficult to play at White Hart Lane. And this is the thing, isn't it? People don't understand it. They think that we're going to go to that stadium and we're going to be filling it up, 100,000 people, and we're going to get successful. It's a soulless stadium with no history. People underestimate how important our history is and how important our legacy is, and the history of Old Trafford and things like that is second to none. You know, and I feel like people are just brushing it off and not really Man United fans. They're just Jim Ratcliffe fans, Jim Ratcliffe bootlickers. You know, that's what they are, ultimately, just bootlickers. You know, and it's sad how many bootlickers there is. You know, maybe Jim Ratcliffe should do a bootlicking company. There'd be a queue for people. You know, at the end of the day. Big up, everyone, of course, and that's what I would say about that. But ultimately, what this can do, we can use it as a positive. What has happened this last 24 hours, the fact that we can use it as a positive, and it is a big tool for them to leave, and for Ineos to leave, Jim Ratcliffe to resign. I think that is what the biggest tool is now. We can use it like that. Many souls over the last 100 years have gone through the turnstiles at Old Trafford. That energy can't be duplicated. Exactly. You don't buy that. You can't buy that. Why do people think that Real Madrid stayed in Madrid? And anyone who's ever been to the Bernabeu knows where Real Madrid is located. I've been there a number of times, watched Man United, seen other Real Madrid games, El Clasico, Madrid Derby. I've been there loads of times, guys. It's in the middle of Madrid. In between, in the middle of apartments, all around it, right? And they managed to build that. You know? Why can't we? Because there's a train track there. It's just an excuse. We really need an overhaul of the squad, needing a minimum of 8 players. Unfortunately, I don't see him buying more than 5. I don't see him buying more than 4, LT, you know, in my opinion. Sal, it's frustrating our beloved club is a bit like this. It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame that we're here talking like this, you know. We had some positive vibes over this last 2 weeks, and it was a good feeling to have those positive vibes. And he's just brought down the energy. He's just brought down the vibes now. And everyone is a little bit back to the square one in regards to the toxicity feeling. And I do think that this is going to resonate to the players as well. I am hearing the players are not happy and with what he said. And no doubt they're not going to be happy with what he said. You know, any person... true respected Man United fan would not be happy with what he said, you know, at the end of the day. And it's not about respecting him because he's doubling down on his opinion. That's the wrong thing to say. It's dangerous when you say that. Respect there from a guy who walked into this football club and said, I want to put the Manchester back in Manchester. Add the bricks together, mate. Add the bricks together. What is he trying to build here? Ask yourself that one question. Ask yourself that. And what have you suffered in regards to that? Right? You haven't. Right? I see one. Right? All that business. So at the end of the day, right, he is what he is. He's a 77-year-old man that has no reality, no idea of what real life is. And obviously, as a billionaire in his life, he's going to attack the vulnerable. He don't care about billionaires. He don't care about immigrants. He don't care about immigration. He don't care. It's a tactic they use to divert the attention from the top. It's a tactic that they use to divert them from the sinister things that they do behind the scenes, if you know what I mean. Ephraim, it's so frustrating that, I read that one. Big up. A brilliant comment about turnstiles. 100. Yeah, you can't duplicate that. It's facts. You can't duplicate that. You can't, If I had a chance, guys, I would go into the turnstile with this and I would invite that guy with the hair in there and I'll get a seat right behind him. And I would just do, thank you very much. Because that is exactly what we need. We need to get rid of the Glazers, shave down that guy, get rid of the joke thing at Man United, because that's exactly what it is at the moment. It's a bloody joke, isn't it? It's a bloody joke, and when we're thinking about things. And I would love to come in there and just talk about football and what we're going to do against Everton, how we're going to beat Everton and stuff like that. And, unfortunately, we're not even playing football. We can't even divert our attention away from what's been going on. We have to think about this for the next 2 weeks, and that's what it is. Sir, the government of England, they don't have the rights to cheese the Glazers and Ineos out of England and bring other investors. They do have the right to do that. They can remove England. They can remove the Glazers from England if they want. They removed Abramovich, Saviour. You need to understand what you're talking about, Saviour, before you speak, my friend. The government can remove whoever they like from the country, and they could stop anyone owning anything in the country if they wanted to. They really can. If you're not a British citizen, they can. They did it with Abramovich. Marcus, about time something, bro. Somebody just pulled clippers to that guy's hair. That's what I would do, guys. This is what it is, mate. What I'm talking about. This guy is a plant, and he just needs to F. I have nothing against him personally, but I know him, and I know what he's all about. So, and obviously, I will speak about that when it's time. I have the emails and stuff. So, there we go. And yeah, I definitely need a haircut myself. Definitely. I maybe should do it here live on stream. Benny, that wouldn't be advisable. Old Trafford is sacred ground. Most of the greatest players ever played there. George Best, Bobby Charlton, Duncan Edwards, Sir Matt Busby was the manager there, and the way it was bombed in the war, Some fans, defending United, and they say that in any kind of fun, amazing, because they're stupid, mate. They're like little kids. They watch Barney the dinosaur every morning. That's what they do, mate. That's why they get excited by these little things. I'm probably not, Marcus. Guys, I'm not going to be doing Chatterbox this week because I've got a lot going on. I've got stuff like that at the moment. But I will be doing Breaking Dawn every morning. So Chatterbox will be back on Sunday. I'll be back for Chatterbox on Sunday, but I will be doing Breaking Dawn in the morning. So just keep an eye on Breaking Dawn. I will be doing Breaking Dawn in the morning, guys, because I've got a number of things to do family-wise and stuff like that. So I'll be here, guys, doing Breaking Dawn. But unfortunately, guys, no problem, Saviour. You said they don't have a right. So I just corrected you. Thank you, Saviour. No problem. Cheers, Sal. Take it easy. Guys, thank you, everyone who's joined me today. I really appreciate you all. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on the video as well, guys. Hopefully we get some good news. Maybe he resigns. Maybe Jim Ratcliffe resigns. Wouldn't that be amazing? Maybe he gets sacked. Wouldn't that be amazing? The Glazers sacked Jim Ratcliffe. That's a turn out for the books, isn't it? Goodness me, you've got to be bad if you're being sacked by the bloody Glazers. Anyway, especially if they're your mates and he's saving money. Guys, Sal, Kevin, Sal, can you name 5 signs would be great? So 5 signings that would be great for Man United. Anderson, number 1. I would say another midfielder, Stiller, number 2. I would say Vanderson, right back. I I think an extra midfielder in there in Ndai, that would be good as well. Someone like that. I think someone like Keith Schmidt, Bawardi, these players, you know, Lamine Kamara. There's loads, man. We need a lot. We need a lot in these done. You know, Glenios needs to be forced out, and there should be a rule: owners are not supposed to run a club on debt without investing. After, yeah, I agree with that absolutely. Benny, have a great day, everyone. Big up yourself. Have a great day. Big up everyone. Big up Robert. Big up LT. Big up everyone. I'm Sal Warner. This is Stretford Post. This is Breaking Dawn, guys. I'll be back tomorrow, so look out for me tomorrow, guys. But I will go live if anything major breaks, of course, guys. Anyway, but have a great day, great night, great evening. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and all that jazz, guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day, and don't stress too much, guys. No matches. Take it easy. Put your feet up, and let's see what happens, guys. Because you know what. We could use this as a positive, you know. We could use this as a positive, and we could say, like, do you know what? We could use it as a positive by saying, do you know what? Maybe now he needs to resign. Maybe now he needs to go. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know, maybe now this is the big excuse for him to resign, and you never know what can happen if he did resign. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you never know what would have happened. You know, guys, absolutely not. You know, so. Yeah, you never know. Let me just see something. Just seeing something, guys. 1 second. Let me just do this. All right, let me just put this on. I'm just going to do this, guys. One second. I'm going to divert you somewhere. 1 second, guys. I want to divert you somewhere because I just want to divert you to him. And he's a good guy. 1 second. Go and check out my guy Eagle, guys. He is an Arsenal content creator, but he's a good one. So I'm gonna divert you there, guys. If you don't mind smashing a like on his new video and stuff like that. If I can find his new video, that is. Let me just have a look. I'm gonna divert you there now. So let's do this customization. So slow to do these things, right? All right. Where is it? I can't even find it. 1 second. No, never mind, guys. I'll do it anyway. Thank you, guys, for joining me. Really appreciate you. Have a good day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. Take it easy. And I'll see you. Let me just see if I can do this because obviously I wanted to do it for him. Let me just see if I can do this for him. If I could possibly do it, of course. Let me just see. All right, let's see if I can put it on. Let me see if I can pull it on. Never mind. Guys, take it easy. I'll see you later on anyway. I'll see you tomorrow for Breaking Dawn. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one and enjoy it. I'm Sal Warner. This is Breaking Dawn. Take it easy. Smash a like, guys, on the video. If you guys could do that for me, it'd be absolutely fantastic. Subscribe if you're new. Share it. Notifications, all that, in case I do go live, guys. So take it easy. I'm Sal Warner. This is Breaking Dawn. See you soon.